Let's roll. The Combat Sports Report has begun. I am Gabe Morency on the SportsGrid television network. Let's do this thing. We've got a stack the show lined up for you. Countdown to the White House card is on. They've begun construction, and it's like dwarfing the actual White House itself. We got some UFC Macau picks coming up a little bit later on. Our crazy-ass MMA related videos of the week. But you know how we always start the show with our BKFC fighter of the week. And we're fired up this week because we got a dude that was just sort of like born to be a BKFC fighter, the Knuckle Maniac himself, coming off his third straight win and his first round knockout win. He's used to knockout wins. He finally gets the first round knockout win. Limit the damage. The Knuckle Maniac, Cody Vidal, steps up and in. Cody, welcome to the Combat Sports Report. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us, man.
It's the Knuckle Maniac, brother. Ooh, yeah, thanks for having me, brother.
Oh, yeah, let's rock. So congratulations on another win. A first-round knockout win as well. You look good. I'll ask you how the hands, because it's always the most critical thing in BKFC. How the hands feeling, my man?
They're feeling
looking good.
Like dealing another Keelan, brother. Keelan.
Yeah, looking good. A lot of dudes come on with casts and bandages and all kinds of other stuff on their hands. You look like you're ready to go. How soon, if they said, all right, listen, we got another fight for you, Cody, how soon would you be able to fight again?
If Mr. Duckamaniac, ooh, yeah, brother, if Mr. Duckamaniac Lorenzo Hunt actually signed the contract to fight the actual contender, the actual best BKFC fighter, the Knuckle Maniac, brother, if he signed it right now, he'd wake up a second later with the Knuckle Maniac standing over him saying, what you gonna do, brother? Because the Knuckle Maniac just ran bare through you.
I like your style. So you're not playing around, Cody. You're calling out like the pound for pound. You're going right for the top. Go right for the jugular.
The jugular, the juggernaut.
You were thrown into the fire. Your first fight in BKFC was actually at a Knuckle Mania. Not only that, but the first fight of the night, which always hard to do. You know what I mean? You want to get a feel. It's first time in some promotion, first time fighting in a certain style. How badly now, when you see how much this thing has grown over the years right now, what Knuckle Mania has become, how much do you want to get back on that card?
Well, number one, I am the very first bare knuckle fighter in California's sanctioned history to fight in California. And that was at Knucklemania 4, brother. And number two, that was against my brother, Keith Richardson, Keith the Officer Richardson, who is an amazing fighter. If he gets dropped, he gets right back up. And I actually helped him make some adjustments for his last fight. And boy, oh boy, brother, did he fight well. Let's talk about Keith Richardson real quick. I told him, Keith, fire your punches in threes and move. He did. He used his check hook a lot. Amazing. He stayed off the line of fire. But when he got on the inside, he put his head underneath his opponent's chin. When your head is underneath your opponent's chin, it looks like this. Now he has no power in his shots. And he's standing straight in the air where you can hit him. That's exactly what Keith did. So you mentioned Knucklemania. How do you have Knucklemania without the Knuckle Maniac, brother? How?
I can't disagree. I can't disagree. I think you got the great name here. And listen, we talk to a lot of BKFC fighters on a weekly basis here, and a lot of them are honest and tell me. Like we had Big Ben Rothwell. He goes, dude, I just hated getting taken down. I just want to punch people. And a lot of people have gotten to this company in different routes. That wasn't really your case. You actually could wrestle. You were training with the top UFC and top MMA wrestlers in the world and in the business, and you weren't having any problems, but it was injuries, bad knees, injuries. I like what you say, you tore every CL that there is in the body basically. So, you're sort of that, you were the well-rounded fighter. And I talk to people a lot about this. Casuals, don't realize, how much clinching, Muay Thai, just that goes into this, and technique as well. And for the personality that you have, you're also a very technique-first type of fighter, as we just saw from you breaking down, Keith.
Oh, yeah, brother. I'm a massive fan of fighting. I'm a massive technician. And I'm actually a metaphysician. What does that mean? Ooh, brother, I love the metaphysical world. It's where we all come from, brother, aka the spiritual realm. I'm a big fan of JC, also known as Christ Yeshua HaMashiach. And also, brother, I love to pray, I love to meditate, and I love to visualize. Ooh, yeah, and I love to do breath work. The word breath means spirit, the word spirit means breath. And if you're not in touch with your breath, you're not in touch with your spirit. If you're not visualizing, you're not in touch with your imagination. If you're not praying and you're not meditating, you're not in touch with our Heavenly Father. And so I am favored because I have faith. And I always say this: if you're afraid, fear fuels failure. But if you have faith, faith fuels favor. And that's why the Knuckle Maniac is favored by Almighty God, brother. The Almighty Heavenly Father. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, a man with nothing to fear is a man to fear. And I know you just sort of, at what point did you find this realm? Because you fought in the past with sort of anxiety and, everybody's, tough life. You got problems. It's a tough life that you chose, the sport that you chose, but you are just free right now. I know you got into hypnotherapy, Jesus Christ as well, and you don't fear anything, right? Like, and I understand that path as well, dude. I really do, in which people are stressed out all the time, but if you understand you're not in control of things, you're only going to be able to control yourself, and you control the moment. You're not going to worry about trivial things as much. So all that outside noise is lost. You could focus just in on training. And then your belief in Jesus, like, hey, listen, this guy took nails on a cross. I can get punched in a boxing ring, right?
It's like you're in the Knuckle Maniac's head, brother. You know a lot of the information that I normally say, so you definitely did your studies, but that's exactly right. When I walk out there, people are like, oh, Bare Knuckle's so savage. Bare Knuckle, that's crazy. I'm like, nope, real men have been doing this for thousands of years, brother. And if me carrying my cross is walking to the ring to bleed a little bit, to feel some pain, to deal some pain, then by God, I'll do that every single day of my life as long as I can heal, as long as I can deal out these knucks that make people squeal.
So do you feel like right now it's an evolving sport, it's an evolving company, and like in reality, well, you've got 6 fights. So how much better do you feel now at this format of fighting than you did when you walked into your first fight at Knucklemania?
I feel better than ever before, brother. When I first walked in on my first fight, Knucklemania, not making any excuses, I had a micro tear in my forearm and my bicep, so I wasn't able to use my left punches too well, jabs, hooks, uppercuts, but I'm ambidextrous. I have power in both hands. Keith Richardson will tell you that. Any one of my opponents will tell you that. So with that said, brother, I am in the best form that I can possibly be, and I am ready to be the face, the Knucks, and the Knucklemania of the BKFC.
More with Cody on the other side as the Combat Sports Report continues on the SportsGrid Television Network, Roku, and more. Bring it.
World Championship Series. We are over the moon excited about the upcoming season.
Let's go.
10,000 horsepower roars off the dock. Oh my, there's a problem. On the outside, side by side.
And he's lost control of the boat.
Hopes and dreams of winning here.
Yes!
Get ready for round one, the Regione Sardegna Grand Prix of Italy, May 29th to 31st.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
That's for Abdul Carter. Hey, son, you want to be a leader? Show up to meetings on time. Don't be late to practice. This guy's sitting there trying to tell me that he's got a problem with Jackson Dart going to a Trump rally when he can't even show up to a meeting on time? And he can't show up to practice and he's late? Dude.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio. Only on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. I am Gabe Morency. Let's do this thing. We're breaking it down with Cody Vidal right now. Great stuff with the Knuckle Maniac. And clearly Cody's an old school wrestling fan and all form of fight fan. Like, you're just sort of this old school, I love it. We sort of come from the same sort of thought process. The old, the Ken Shamrocks, the Dan Severins, and the Tank Abbotts, and just sort of that old school. Guys will fight in any format. That's what I always liked about Ken. You know what I mean? It's like, guys will fight in any format. But you said, like, people like, oh, BKFC and bare knuckle this and that. And I'm buddies with Frank Trigg, who, has fought, wrestling, MMA, and professional wrestling. King Mo, bro, same thing. He used to be buddies with King Mo. Have him on. They all told me, dude, pro wrestling is, like, way harder than MMA is. They're like, MMA is like a fight. You train, you roll around, you get punched. It's over. He goes, wrestling, you get the rope burns. People step on your hands. The wrestler Raven, who was really hardcore, said it's all the little things, Gabe. He goes, it's not like the thumbtacks and stuff. He goes, I got my pinky broken the other day because some dude stepped on it. Like, all that type of stuff. How do you compare bare knuckle? Because, you rolled around in all different forms of fighting. To people who think that this is all savage stuff, how do you compare it to other sports of form from a safety level as a fighter?
Well, number one, if you actually look at my record, I don't actually have any losses, so we could call me 6-0. And that's very evident of the fact that this is easy for the Knuckle Maniac. The Knuckle Maniac uses his knuckles as the maniac that he is. Mania means high energy, happy energy, fun energy, and the Knuckle Maniac is high, he's happy, and he's fun when he's blasting everyone with the nuts that he was given when he was born as somebody's son. So, with that said, brother, the Knuckle Maniac believes, not just believes, but knows that the BKFC, that bare knuckle fighting, is easy, brother. And for most people, it's hard. But having people pulling on your neck, people slamming you on the back of your head, people always trying to rip your joint out, people trying to rip your throat out left and right. In the fight, it's not the problem. It's doing it Monday through Saturday, Monday through Sunday, over again training. And now you have no damn cartilage left between your joints.
That's the glory of it, right? Yeah, it's all fun and games, when you're on national television and you're winning fights. But to do that, you got to put the work in, as you stated, when nobody's watching, right? That's the whole thing, to put the work in when no one's watching. I like what you said, though, about ripping out the joint. So that's the thing. People get in and then just try to, like, basically dislodge your arm way in there.
Well, with pro wrestling, think about it. They're wrestling at least once a week if they're at the top, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And what? And they're constantly doing high-risk maneuvers. High-risk maneuvers means you have a high risk of injuring your body, typically your joints.
What's the biggest, look, I've always heard the biggest risk to injury really is for the hands. You don't want to get punched, and you've been pretty good at that, obviously, but it's the hands, isn't it? Like, that's the biggest sort of, the biggest pain issue of, and your hands seem to be fine. The knuckle maniac, literally and figuratively.
You see,
look at that. Look at those hands. Hey, like, dear God, yeah. That's some mangled stuff, bro.
I got lunch boxes with spikes on them.
Yeah, that's some scary stuff.
My lunch.
That's a scary fist. My uncle was a goon in the National Hockey League, man. He had fingers hanging out, like different, different, going different ways and stuff. But that's a pretty impressive fist you got right there, man. I like that.
Gracias, senor.
So, in all sincerity, when do you think we'll see you back? I know, listen, man, we have a lot of fighters on. They all tell me they like to be more active. They wait for the call, but you've been pretty active. You get the call, and you've handled your business pretty quickly here. So, in all sincerity, when do you think you'll fight next?
Juggernaut Hunt is going to go to Italy. The Knuckle Maniac is going to go to Italy. I'm going to watch him fight and beat Walter Pugliese for the 205-pound championship. Then he's going to come back down to 185 in September, and I'm going to beat him and take his belt. And if he wants a rematch, we can do it at 205 for the 205-pound belt. And that's the bottom line, because the Knuckle Maniac, your favorite fighter, said so.
We've got about a minute and a half here. I wanted to ask you about another fighter that's very charismatic and a big part of the BKFC, who I want to see fight in BKFC one day down the road once he gets his UFC obligations out of the way. Nobody's giving Conor a chance against Max Holloway. What's your breakdown of that?
Who the are you talking about?
That's a good one. You got a prediction for us? Yeah, you got a prediction?
What are you? Hey, my name is Mystic Maniac. I predict these things. So if Conor McGregor wants to win flawless victory, Conor McGregor needs to get back to original Conor McGregor before all the fame and all the power. And Conor McGregor needs to talk with the Knuckle Maniac. Conor McGregor needs to train with the Knuckle Maniac, because the Knuckle Maniac is very much like Conor McGregor, and he knows exactly what Conor McGregor needs. Conor McGregor needs the JC, and Conor McGregor needs the control over his mind, and then he will find that it is not hard to win. It is not hard to grind when you take control of your own mind, brother. Ooh, yeah. Conor McGregor, Knuckle Maniac coalition coming together is exactly what the combat world needs. Ooh, yeah.
Well, you know what? This is what the Combat Sports Report needed. A lot of fun breaking it down with you, Cody. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us, brother. Best of luck in the future. We'll do it again down the road.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
See you later, Cody. Great stuff, man. There's Cody Vidal kicking it with us on the Combat Sports Report. A lot of fun with him. Tom Zaffino. He's not going to be as much fun as Cody will be, but we'll give you some UFC winners. Bring it.
Hey there, it's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Go over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Cody Vidal for kicking with us. Let's do our videos of the week right now before Tom Zaffino steps up and in and we hit the UFC Macau card that's rapidly approaching. Some overnight fights from Macau. So we'll get to that, but let's get to our videos of the week. And this first one's great. Like, this is from a wrestling championship. It's like the National High School Wrestling Championships. I can't confirm, but I think that's what this is from. And this is just like from this past, this past weekend, etc. And, in today's day and age, everybody is so soft and, coaches get fired and kids are playing and you can't keep score because it's going to hurt someone's feelings. And we always show these videos generally from like Russia or Eastern Europe, and where they're just like psychopaths and you got like 6-year-old kids wrestling bears. So this was nice to see some old school hard-assness from the wrestler and the coaches. This is great stuff right here. Whoa! See, I love that, like the crowd, like, what other? He just attacked the coach, right? So he takes the first coach down. Second coach, a lot bigger and was ready for it. He slammed that kid pretty hard into the mat, too. Well, bam. That's why the kid's a winner. All right, so I got to tell you, man, these wrestling videos have really been delivering for us, and we got another one here in which kid wins the match, but as watch after he wins, he basically gets up by shoving his opponent's head into the mat, and the loser of the wrestling match ended up winning the war when it was all said and done. He's out. He's out. He got lit. He got lit right there. Like I said, this wrestling stuff is pretty crazy. Like that RAF stuff is always like producing brawls, and wrestlers are essentially crazy people. Our last, for the record though, everybody online, like nobody out there blamed the kid for punching the other dude in the face right there. Right? Like everybody thinks like, yeah, that dude deserved it. Right. And I'm with the kid that like punched the dude in the face as well. I don't think he did anything wrong after what the other dude did to him after the match. This next one is kind of funny, but not so funny. Not so funny for the kid that gets dropped here. It's like I can't help but just think of like the old show, like kids do the damnedest things. So here's some kids training, and pretty lethal kids actually at that. But this is pretty good. Whoa! Take my glasses. That's why the kid wears glasses. I just love that, like, the kid's, like, nearly gets kicked. Like, Trey's like, all right, I wear my glasses. Here, take my glasses off. Takes his glasses off, and it absolutely, like, tries to delivers a head kick, but kicks the wrong kid in the head. And the other kid goes down hard. So, yeah, enjoyable videos this week. There was some other stuff that we could have went with, but, you know, even I think we have to have our limits. Like, there was basically like a 500-pound sumo wrestler that beat the crap out of a pro boxer, and there's like a lot of like crazy stuff out there. But now that I just said that, I'm thinking, yeah, we probably should have showed the sumo wrestler. Sumo wrestlers equal fun. All right, so great stuff on the program. Thanks to all of our guests on the show. And for joining us so far, but we got Tom Zaffino stepping up and in. We got some UFC Macau picks, and I actually do like this card from a betting perspective. The main event, there's some good spots to bet on. Co-main event, some good spots to bet on. And I think there's like 3 or 4 other fights on this card that good parlay material, some good totals as well. And we'll advise you that this card is coming up, man. It's overnight on Friday night. Combat Sports Report continues. Combat Sports Report continues. Let's do this thing. All right, we've talked about the White House card, and the build-up and anticipation continues. But we've got a pretty cool card this week. Friday night in the overnight hours, we go to China, Macau. And for those of you who don't know, Macau has basically set up a copy of the Las Vegas Strip, essentially. It's kind of freaky, actually. Except I get the feeling you can't get away with the things that you can get away with on the Vegas Strip, on the Macau Strip. But with that being stated, we're going back to Macau, and it's great for the hardcore degenerates that like to stay up all night and bet or in the early morning hours. But we've got an international card, and we've got Tom Zaffino ready to step up and in and help us break it down. Tom, always a pleasure. I looked at this card, and there's a lot of good fighters on this card, a lot of violent fighters on this card. I think it could be a very entertaining card, actually. And from a betting perspective, I already see a couple of spots that I do have circled, and I do like. What do you think about this card?
It's a good card. It's a fun card, like you said. There are a lot of finishers. Got a lot of Asian fighters on this card, looking to make a name. Some new fighters to the card, so it's a good one. The main event's good. Yeah, I mean, from a betting perspective, there are a lot of big numbers that kind of make it tough. The main event, you got Song at minus 600, which is tough. But there's some spots that I like. I didn't get to dig in as much to the prelims as I would like to. My schedule's just been crazy this week, so there's probably some other spots that I like. But there are a handful of spots that I feel pretty good about, so it should be a fun one.
Yeah, and between the prelims and that road to the UFC stuff, there's other fights too, right? So it's like, all right, I've got to limit myself, and I don't like to get carried away. I sort of start at the top, as I used to sort of bet every fight on the card, and the old Facebook, the first fight of the night, and this and that, and if I really liked the spot, but it was a different era then, Tom, right? There was like 200 fighters in the company or whatnot. Right now, with like 1,200 fighters signed, and 0-0 fighters, 1-0, or the road to the UFC, and all this type of stuff, I sort of lock myself in to the main card here. But there are a couple of things on the prelims that did catch my eye. But as far as the main event is concerned, Song returns to his home country for the first time in 7 years. Hasn't fought in China in 7 years. Last fought against O'Malley, which is pretty recently, actually, in January. You look at his last 3 fights, Tom: O'Malley, Cejudo, and Peter Yan. I mean, this dude's been in there with like the best of the best, and now he faces a 2-time former champion who was once the best in the world, but starting to fade a little bit. Has only lost the top 5 opponents, but starting to fade a little bit, going to China right now. Were you surprised to see what a big favorite Song was in this fight?
I was a little bit surprised to see the line as it is. I expected him to be a sizable favorite. I was thinking, minus 250, maybe minus 300. But, I mean, it is pretty justified. Song, you could argue that he could have got the nod over O'Malley. I mean, he fought a great fight there. He got the wrestling going early, didn't really get it going as much late, which is what kind of ended up costing him. But, Song's really good, and he's going to be a title contender. He's still pretty young. He's been in the UFC a little while, but, he's still got a lot of upside. And Figueiredo, I mean, coming off, missed weight, he used to be a 125er. He's moved up to bantamweight last couple of years. Now he's having trouble making weight at bantamweight. He is getting older. He's fought nothing but the best, so you got to give him credit there. And he's been competitive, and he's been winning fights. But I just think Song overall is not going to be I don't think Figueiredo is going to be able to out-grapple Song, which is a path that he's been going to a lot. So I just think Song is going to be a little bit better on the feet. He's going to be a better grappler overall, just an overall better fighter. So it's reasonable that he's a pretty sizable favorite. But minus 600, it's always tough.
I tell you what, I'm looking and I'm putting together a same fight parlay, so to speak, with Song to win. Song to win in over 2.5 rounds is minus 167. Which I'm surprised. I thought it'd be steeper. Song to win and over 3.5 rounds, minus 133. Song to win and over 4.5 rounds is minus 102. Considering the difference of odds, guys, I would rather just go with the 33 than the 102 there. If I was getting plus money or something, I'd look at it differently. But, minus 133 or minus 102, there's a big difference between 3.5 and 4.5. But with that being stated, that's kind of how I'm looking at this fight here, Tom. My approach here will be Song to win, and I do think it goes over at least 2.5 rounds. I think it goes over 3.5 as well. And, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to distance. Song by decision.
Yeah, I agree. I like the overs getting a much better number on Song. I like the over 2.5 and over 3.5. I feel like the over 3.5 could get a bit sweaty if Song is doing what he does, and he lands a good amount of damage. He's a very strong fighter, and Figueiredo could fade. If he has another tough weight cut, I feel like the over 3.5 and the over 4.5 get a little bit scary, because if he's fading down the stretch, Song's landing big shots, or Song's grappling him, he's on top, maybe beating him up from the top, it could get sketchy. I could see it going all 5 rounds, but I like the over 2.5, over 3.5 is probably where I would stay in terms of the same game parlay stuff.
Yeah, I understand where you're going with that. And for people like just, with MMA totals, 3.5 is really, you've got to get into 4. You got to get into 4.5 really. Right? So it's like, so it's, it's the minutes start to add up as we go on. But that's how I want to be approaching it. Like I said, so if you want to go to 2.5 rounds, it's minus 167. Over to 3.5 is minus 133. Interesting, Tom. I retweeted this story earlier in the week, and I don't know if you caught this with Zhang at the press conferences and stuff, in which he was wearing sunglasses all the time. And somebody asked him, like, why are you wearing sunglasses, like, inside type of thing? And he basically was honest and responded in Chinese and basically said, because I didn't want people to freak out because I look terrible and I can't sleep and I haven't been getting a lot of sleep and stuff. And the thing is, Tom, they never translated that part. So it came out in Chinese, but they never did it after. And so, a couple of eagle ears at the press conference caught on and said, I don't really think we got a whole answer here, right? And so I'm just throwing that out there about this fight. Just a little context here. What do you think about this one?
Well, if everything is on the up and up and he is, healthy and good to go, I feel like this is kind of a spot the UFC is putting him in to, get a big knockout in front of his home crowd. And, Menifield is a guy that he's got big power. He's definitely got some holes in his game. He's had some losses that are kind of shocking, but then he's had some really good wins too. So, but he is very hittable. He's been rocked a few times. He's been finished. I think this is a spot where Zhang is supposed to knock him out early. And that's the kind of the way I'm looking at it. That's minus 150, the knock, just the KO in general. But yeah, I mean, if there's some weird stuff going on, if he's not, fully healthy, the knockout might not come. But I think Menifield, he just doesn't really have great cardio. He's traveling across the world. I could see the knockout in that fight.
And it is a very good point by Tom. China is a very important market to the UFC that they really haven't fully exploited yet. They'd love to get some Chinese champions going. Hell, Dana White talked about wanting to get a Chinese fighter on the White House card, right? That was like one of the goals that they wanted to do, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but besides the point. But China is a massive market. And it's the one thing the UFC has been good at, sort of like moving on to new countries and new territories and cashing in more. More with Tom on the other side. Bring it.
To endure months of manufactured rumors about will he or won't he retire LeBron James. They are probably, Donnie, working on the Decision 2.0 for Amazon Prime as we speak. Is Jim Gray still around? But here is the beauty of the predictive markets. They make insufferable stories about insufferable people highly profitable.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Mattingly is doing a great job, clearly, right? They're 16-4 since he took over, but we have to remember when Rob Thompson took over for the Phillies and they went 65-46 back in 2022, he finished 5th in NL Manager of the Year that year. So could Mattingly win it? Of course, but he doesn't really have history on his side. I'm still on Don Kelly 15-1 to win Manager of the Year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Combat Sports Report continues. We're talking UFC Macau right now. So depending on where you are, this card starts basically in the overnight hours, 4 in the morning if you're on the East Coast, 1 in the morning if you're on the West Coast. So we have some overnight mixed martial arts, a stacked card actually, 13 fights on the card. We've talked about the main event and the co-main event. We have another interesting fight here with a heavyweight fight. Massive number, though. And this number has climbed, actually, with Pavlich being a minus 600 favorite right now against Talixon Teixeira, who a lot of people have recently seen training with Alex Pereira, getting ready for his fight against Cyril Gahn, etc. So we got a massive favorite here. And I actually do like Pavlich, but big time number. The total over under 1.5. Over 1.5 is plus 153. So the odds makers are not expecting a long fight in this one. Are you going to bet this fight, Tom, or does the number scare you off?
Well, the number does scare me off. Pavlovich, he's a guy that he came in hot. He was knocking everybody out. Ran into the buzzsaw and Tom Aspinall. That kind of took his aura a little bit. Lost to Volkov, kind of got pieced up for the whole fight. It was pretty ugly. He's bounced back recently with a couple wins, not like overly exciting wins, but, he's kind of on the way back. And to me, overall, Teixeira is just, Teixeira is very dangerous early in fights. He's got big power. We've seen that on display. But we saw in the Tai Tuivasa fight, the fight gets extended and his cardio drops off a cliff. And I don't think he's going to fix that in the time since that fight. So I like Pavlovich a lot. I think he wins. I actually do kind of like the over 1.5 though, because Pavlovich has not been overly aggressive like we saw early on. I mean, he could be feeling himself. He could be back and, get that early finish. And, Teixeira early in fights is very dangerous. So I think from a Pavlovich perspective, he's probably not going to go too crazy, try to wait it out. He's definitely got the better cardio. So the over 1.5 at plus money is kind of interesting. So as of right now, that would be the bet that I make. But I do like Pavlovich. I do think he probably ends up finishing him late when the cardio drops off. I could see him getting that finish. But I mean, over 1.5, not a bad look. Take a shot there. It's going to be sweaty, for the first round. But
nothing wrong with plus money though. I like
absolutely.
the rolls of the dice with the over like that. You're getting plus 150, plus 153. parlay together Pavlich to win and over 1.5 is plus 175 for the record. Parlay together, but I agree with you as far as Pavlich. He's going to know. I mean, Teixeira is obviously most dangerous in the first round, so I don't think, and he's not reckless to begin with. So as you stated, I'd be surprised if he does anything stupid early.
Yeah, that's kind of the way he's been fighting, since the Volkov fight. He's kind of, he'll mix in a takedown or two here and there. He's not going to go crazy. He's not going to get himself in trouble on the feet. So, yeah, I mean, and we've seen a lot of these heavyweight fights that are expected to finish early. And the next thing you know, they're going 3 rounds and both guys are huffing and puffing in the third. So it wouldn't be the first time that expected early finish goes long.
So here's an interesting one, Tom. Obviously, it's in China, but we have a Japanese legend on the card who is 0-2 in the UFC. But as you stated earlier, this card is tailor-made for the Asian fighters to showcase themselves and get the wins. So, and the thing is, Asakura, so he lost to Tim Elliott and he lost to Pantoja. Now he's a minus 270 favorite here. What do you think? What do you think of this fight? Are you gun shy because he's 0-2 so far, or is this a spot for him?
No, I'm not gun shy because he's not fighting a grappler. First 2 fights in the UFC, he fought Pantoja. We know he's a grappler. He was the champ at the time. He came in right into a title fight against one of the greatest that we've seen in the weight class. And then the loss to Tim Elliott was, not great. But again, Tim Elliott, high-paced grappler. Asakura is a striker.
Grinder.
That's what he does. Asakura is a good striker. And in this matchup, he's fighting Cameron Smotherman, who is a young prospect who, I kind of had high hopes for early, but I don't think he's the greatest. And he's mostly going to be a striker as well. So you match up these 2 strikers, Asakura to me, much better. I think Asakura gets the job done. Wouldn't be shocked if he finished him either. Smotherman, we saw recently, his fight, he passed out on the scales. We saw him face plant when he stepped off the scales. So if he has a tough weight cut, it could get ugly for him. So I think Asakura does bounce back in this spot big time.
He's a minus 300 favorite, over under 2.5 right now, plus 115 to the over 2.5, under 2.5 is minus 135. All right, we'll do one more round with Tom on the other side. Jake Matthews on the card, who was once actually sort of, speaking, I said this a couple of minutes ago, where they sort of find new countries and territories. Years ago they were big on Australia. And that was the big thing, right? And, they sort of, let guys build up their records and stuff. And Matthews was a guy that was super trendy. Minus 445 favorite in this fight against Harris. And a couple of interesting spots on the prelims as well. Any interest for you, Tom, in the Jake Matthews fight?
Not a lot of interest, man. Jake Matthews, he's burned me so many times in the past, especially as a big favorite. I do think he probably should win this fight, but I could see him getting stuck in something and getting choked out too at the same time. So it's kind of tough to bet him at that number.
Minus 445. Yeah, that is. Yeah, that is pretty crazy. All right, so we'll break it down more with Tom. We'll get Tom's best bets and what he's going to isolate here. But as I said, as I stated earlier, I like this card. The top of the card, the main event, the co-main event, the top spots here. I think Asakura is great parlay material at minus 300 for the record. We were talking about Pavlich. Asakura parlay is minus 180. I like to be a little bit, but if you threw Zhang in here, suddenly you're talking about plus 120. If you want to get, a little greedy and put Song in here, it's plus 157. Best bets with Tom on the other side. The Combat Sports Report continues.
It's your buddy Craig Carton. If you're trying to find out how to get all the great content that me and Tyrone Johnson give you every single day, here's Tyrone to tell you how.
You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and of course, Amazon Music as well. We're at all 4.
That's right. It's the Craig Carton Show podcast every weekday morning live at 11, replayed at noon on YouTube and on SportsGrid throughout the country. Check it out.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75 plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, you know, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Go over the summer where there's drastic changes and gas drops down to $3 a gallon, $2.50 a gallon in some states, and then you have some of the price markets go down. You ride that momentum is what Joe's talking about. So if you say right now, which party will win the U.S. House, and you think it's the Republicans currently trading at 20%, you take them now, and if good press comes, that turns into 25% and 30%, then you have the option to cash out.
Prediction Markets Edge, only on SportsGrid.
We're into the final round right now, the Combat Sports Report. We're kicking it with Tom Zaffino, breaking down the UFC return to Macau. And let's talk a little bit about, I was curious your take on the Alex Perez fight here. He's about a minus 140 favorite, Tom. Any opinion on Alex Perez, another fighter? You know, we were talking about an interesting card with sort of, you know, veteran fighters, few still title contender type guys. Like you said, I think Song has future championship potential still. He's been talking all week about, you know, I'm going to be champion soon. And that's my goal. And he still has a couple of cracks to do this down the road. We talked about Matthews, was kind of a hype kid out of Australia many years ago. And you got Perez, who, you know, hard to believe, but it's going to be his 15th fight in the UFC, Tom. Any opinion?
Yeah, actually, that was the next thing I was going to bring up is to me, I don't understand the line. Minus 145, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think he's substantially better. And he's another guy that he's like championship level. He's fought all the best guys, and he just can't break through against the elite of the elite. I don't think Sumadarji's in that ballpark. I mean, he's good. He's gotten better. He's been in the UFC, 5 or 6 years now. He's improved, but Alex Perez to me is a guy that, you know, I've lost money on him in the past. Because he's always been great. And then, you know, his last fight, I kind of shaded off. I was like, maybe he just can't win fights. And then he comes out, gets a big knockout, and looks like the guy that I always thought he was. And I think he still is. I mean, he's got a really well-rounded skill set. He's got good striking. He can grapple. So the number to me doesn't make sense. And that does scare me a little bit, because sometimes you see that it looks like great value and it's like, why is it such great value? But to me, I like him on the money line. And I put him in a parlay with Ray Saruya, who I like a lot on this card. I think he's got a really good matchup against Luis Gurriel. So that was like a plus 133 parlay. So that's one of the first bets I placed going into this one.
Good stuff. All right, Tom. So you said, you know, you didn't break down this prelim card as much as you would like, but did anything catch your eye on it as of now before your last second wagers?
Well, Saruya's a guy that I like. I actually bet Saruya with Asakura too. That one was like minus 127, so he's still paying a little chalk there. But I just think Saruya, he's fighting Luis Gurriel, who I just bet, 2 weeks ago to get his first win in the UFC, and he cashed that ticket. But he just fought a couple weeks ago. It was a pretty grueling fight. Both guys landed a lot of strikes. Now he's taking a fight on short notice, traveling across the world. I just think Ray Saruya, who's a really good grappler, is going to be able to control that fight. And I don't have the takedown lines yet, but I'm going to be looking at the laddering the takedowns with Saruya, because this is a fight where he could potentially land 10 takedowns. So I like Saruya a lot. And I'm probably going to have a pretty hefty ladder on him. And I do like him as a parlay piece. Like I said, I parlayed him in 2 parlays, which I don't typically like to do, one guy in multiple parlays. But to me, I feel pretty good about him.
I found a takedown prop for you here. Over under 3.5 takedowns.
That's a good start. That's a great start. I love that. I'll probably bet him up to 7, depending on what the numbers are, because Gurule, he's a good fighter. He's a tough guy. He's tough to put away, but he bounces back. He gets up. So if he gets taken down, he will get up, but he does get taken down. He can get taken down. So, and Saruya, that's his game. So I could see myself betting that 7, 8, takedowns, and just hopefully cash a ticket every couple minutes there as the fight goes long.
Awesome stuff, Tom, as always. Great time of the year coming up right now. We've got the UFC Macau as sort of a warm-up. The curiosity just about the White House card and how it's going to play out. And we see how it's looking. It looks like the Monsters of Rock or the Ozfest is taking over the White House lawn right now. It's like massive. Yeah. It's like, it's literally dwarfs the White House. But there's no point of having it there unless you really have the White House in the shot all the time. So they needed the cage and the arc to be so big so the cameras could see through it, actually. But I'm sure, even Trump himself was like, I didn't know it was going to be this big. It's big.
But it's kind of got to be crazy. It's kind of got to be crazy, though.
Yeah, they're going to do it. You're right. Yeah. If you're going to do it, you got to go big. Go big or go home. On the 250. Tom Zaffino, always great stuff with Tom. Thanks to our crew behind the scenes. Other than that, you're on your own later.
To endure months of manufactured rumors about will he or won't he retire LeBron James. They are probably, Donnie, working on the Decision 2.0 for Amazon Prime as we speak. Is Jim Gray still around? But here is the beauty of the predictive markets. They make insufferable stories about insufferable people highly profitable.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You can recruit super young talent that may go in the NBA. You can recruit older guys and have them grow up together. But if you want players to stay, either sign them to contracts or treat them well enough where they're going to stay. To me, it's pretty simple. And, a lot of coaches last year had good years and they left skid marks on their schools and nobody said a word.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Great job, clearly, right? They're 16-4 since he took over, but we have to remember when Rob Thompson took over for the Phillies and they went 65-46 back in 2022, he finished 5th in NL Manager of the Year that year. So could Mattingly win it? Of course, but he doesn't really have history on his side. I'm still on Don Kelly 15-1 to win Manager of the Year.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
They're trading right now currently at 74 wins on the season, which means the Kalshi marketplace goes by 5-win intervals. 75-plus wins for those Houston Astros. That's a 49% contract to the yes, which a $100 investment pays back $205, Greg. I'm not high on this team. Look, again, 75 wins for the Astros is terrible, but this team might not even look the same as where we stand today by the time we get to that deadline.
Pro Baseball Today.